Hey guys, before we continue on with the video, I want to remind everybody the content creator program is still going on for 6 more days. All right, guys. So 6 codes, maybe 7 at this point, are still going to be active. So make sure you guys do click that support button, get yourself those codes. And remember, guys, new season is coming. So you're going to need to go into my support section when you log in. There's going to be an extend support button. You're going to have to click that. And then when you click that, it'll ask you to extend the support. Click that extend button. You guys will see it'll say support extension successful, which means next season going forward, you will not miss any codes. You have to do this or else you guys will not be getting any codes any further. Remember, guys, there's giveaways. There's things on the Discord you should join. I'm going to be doing about $400 or $500 worth of giveaways for all supporters. So make sure you're around and make sure you guys click that support button and extend, or else you will be missing out on a lot of amazing codes. All right, folks, let's go on with the video. What's going on, ladies and gents? Welcome back to another solo leveling Arise video. All right, folks, I've been getting asked a lot of questions regarding wind versus water and what you should be using in WOBL. Now, you guys can see the entire water team right over here, minus the main character, which is going to be Cha, is right here. Of course, Alicia is missing as well, but who cares about Alicia at this point, right? Who is going to do better, water or wind, and why? So I'm going to go over this, and when I say better, we're talking about two different places. We're talking about WOBL, and we're talking about Guild Boss in this case specifically. Right now, this is my free-to-play account, of course, so I'm going to walk you guys through what I think is going to be your best options and why, and what you are needing to have in order to do well. Now, remember, Cha is coming out as a water unit. She's going to be the 1-year anniversary character. And then, of course, we have Leonard coming out, who's going to be a wind DPS as well. So we have two different DPSs coming. One most likely going to be spec attack. I think Leonard will probably be spec attack, I assume. Most of them are usually. And then, of course, Cha, we're going to be spec defense as DPS. So I can tell you right now, with Cha's kit and what I've seen, it looks absolutely broken. So we know for a fact water is going to do extremely well. But will water survive without Soren and Mei Lin? So for water, you're going to need these two for sure. 110%, and you're going to need to build them, and you're going to need to make sure that their weapons are at least A5 at the very minimum. I know a lot of people are wondering if the sub buffs are going to be enough to make her valid as a breaker for the water team. I'm going to be honest with you guys, they're going to give people enough to probably get by easy and normal with Sa, but I don't know if she's going to be viable for hard. I very much doubt that they're going to make an old unit viable for hard. And that being said, the same thing goes for Wu. Wu's getting a buff as well too. I don't know if he's going to be viable when it comes down to hard mode. Now, we're going to talk about both teams and what benefit, how they benefit each other, and which ones are going to be better for what. But before I do that, guys, I do want to remind everybody, just like I did in the beginning of the video, the content creator program is about to end for this season. A new code was just submitted, so a 7th code is on the way. All of these codes here that I've been handing out, guys, minus the one that is the skill scrolls and mana power extract, are going to be expiring tomorrow after reset. So make sure you are using these codes. If you have not done the support system yet, click the support button, guys, get yourself in, and make sure, guys, that you do extend. I showed you guys how to extend already. Click that extend button, or else you're going to miss out further codes going in the future. I just want to say, as usual, big shout out to my top 10: JSTO Patches 482 046 618, Lucy Bond 906 253 170, and everybody else in between. Of course, all the way to the 10,659th person. Thank you so much for supporting me this season. Don't forget to extend for next season to get yourselves all your codes. And at the same time, guys, if you don't extend, you're going to miss out on the codes that are coming up as well too. Any exclusive codes will be given to those who extend, so make sure you click that extend button. All right, so let's talk a little bit about the two of them. All right, so first off, water has overall, and this is honest, they have overall better buffers, and that's the main thing. All right, they have better buffers. Now, when it comes down to buffers, we're going to compare Mei Lin to Hansimi, of course. Hansimi does obviously benefit the wind team the way she's supposed to. She does buff wind and she does buff attack, right? But the only problem with her is she doesn't buff as many things. So you guys can see here, she does do increased basic skill damage, so we know that obviously benefits Mei Lin. This is not Mei Lin, sorry. That benefits Mirai. Additional wind damage, of course, gives it to Goto and as well as Mirai, and then of course basic damage increased as well too. And then she also applies critical hit rate and critical hit damage and power gauge increase. So overall, she does do quite a bit. Where she kind of lacks a little bit here is the fact that she doesn't have any buffs to like core attacks. She doesn't have any buffs to defense, because really there's no defensive units in that team, right? And also, if you can look over here, she also doesn't buff anything like HP, right? Which is a big deal, because obviously Goto does buff HP quite a bit, but she does have immortality and she does give quite a bit of wind damage. In comparison to Mei Lin, who does a lot more, in my opinion, she buffs water, Just like Hansimi buffs wind, she buffs attack as well as defense, so she's giving two different types of buffs. She also increases core attacks. She also gives the ability to increase all team members' attack and defense just as a passive, and then also additionally increases the attack and defense of water units by another 8%. So this is huge because unlike Hansimi, who only does attack, she gives also attack and defense, which is going to scale for Alicia as well as the new Cha. Right over here, you guys can see she does increase power gauge, and then over here you guys can see she also increases attack, defense, critical hit rate, and core damage quite a bit, right? So Malin overall, I think, is a superior, I think we can all agree on this, is a superior unit when it comes down to buffing. Her weapon is much better as well. And just so everyone's aware, the thing here, remember with the highest attack by 1%, by the way, this you don't have to worry about. Just get your Cha with one attack more than anybody else and she'll get this buff. The main thing with this buff here is the fact that she decreases the ultimate skill cooldown, which will allow Cha to do more ultimates, and then also buff her with the Iron Will set, right? So that's what we're going to assume is she's going to be going with. So overall, much better buffer. When it comes down to the actual break, Goto and Soren, I'd say, are very similar. Very similar when it comes down to breaking abilities. I think Soren's maybe a little bit better personally, but at the same time, they are both fantastic breakers. Once they fix her missile attack, I think Soren will do a little bit more damage than Goto does, but Goto himself is no slouch. So when it comes down to breaking abilities, both of them are really good. Now, when it comes down to Sa versus Wu, this is a tough one, right? If you're going to use the old units, they're both being buffed, so we're going to see who does better. My opinion, Wu is a little bit better for the Wind team because he does give the Wind team a little bit of buffs, right? He increases wind damage with his weapon, while Sa's just very selfish and just does overall probably better damage than he does. But as from a breaking perspective, I'd say they're very, very even, and we'll have to see what the actual updates are in regards to buffing them. Now, when it comes down to overall attack units or overall DPS, right now, as it stands, of course, Wind has the upper hand, right? Mireille is a much better attack unit than Alicia is. Alicia's pretty much second rate at this point, unfortunately, and I don't think she's going to be very viable for hard mode, at least. Maybe viable for easy and normal, but I don't think she's going to be viable for hard. So for those who are looking to do overall a better DPS, you're definitely going to want to go with Mireille. Mireille is still the top 3 DPS in the game, maybe top 4 at this point, but definitely viable, much better than what Water has to offer in Alicia. Now, when Cha comes out, of course, that will change completely, right? Mireille will still be a force to be reckoned with, but when it comes down to the difference between her and Cha, Cha is probably going to blow her out of the water and most likely going to be viable, more viable in Yogamon, especially because Yogamon heals and she has unrecoverable as a skill, which is probably going to be something that you're going to need. Plus, it probably most likely has better MP management than Mireille does. So right now, as it stands, guys, if you're going to go with the old units, and I'm talking about like the old base units, Wind versus Water, to be quite honest, if you're not going for Cha, you're most likely going to be better off with the Wind unit, especially if you have Goto. If you have Goto, Hansimi, and Mireille, you're going to be better off than Alicia, Soren, and Malin. 100%. Only reason why, again, is not because of the buffers or the breakers. It's because of that DPS spot, right? But for those who are going to go for Cha, and most of you will, Water will definitely take over that spot for sure. And when Leonard comes out, we'll see what he has to offer. But right now, I don't see a 1-year anniversary being overshadowed by a standard unit who's coming out. I would imagine, based on what I've seen on her kit, that Cha is going to last for quite some time and will probably be the head of the Water unit DPS squad for, I'd say, at the very least, 6 to 7 to 8 months. Maybe even further. If you guys remember, the original Cha, which was the first unit that came out with Global, is still one of the best units in the game when it comes down to the light team. Also, just in general, just a very, very good unit and has lasted a whole year and has not really been that replaced by even by Thomas. A lot of people still prefer Cha for a lot of different content. So keep that in mind when you're doing this. All right, folks, thank you so much for watching. I'll see you guys in the next one. Take care.